To all the friends and family, faculty and staff, current Presidians, and my fellow graduates, thank you for being here today. It's an honor to be speaking up here. In the Presidian spirit, Claire and I wanted to make our speeches as collaborative as possible by weaving together our collective learnings, so thank you to everyone who shared their insights with us. It feels surreal to be standing up here in front of you all, gathered both in person and online. I finished undergrad in 2020 and celebrated that graduation from my living room, so this is a precious moment that I hope we can collectively cherish. As I invite us all to look back on the last few years, nothing I say right now could possibly encapsulate the sheer enormity of change, grief, and joy that these years contained. As hard as it was to have our time in grad school be so heavily influenced by the pandemic, I believe the values it taught us are invaluable. During a bleak time, we built deep, loving community and friendship through the tiny squares on our screens, got to know each other's Zoom backgrounds, and experienced the intimacy of watching each other learn and cry and laugh on camera. Without ever having met in person, we held each other from afar as we experienced apocalyptic orange skies, hurricanes and floods, countless political turmoils, and the start of wars. We also celebrated as we watched our classmates get married, become parents, and achieve the dreams they spoke into existence during orientation. I will never forget the joy of meeting my fellow C33s for the first time the summer after our first full year of classes. To this day, I try my hardest not to let go of that larger-than-life feeling of cherishing someone or something, knowing that it's not guaranteed in the future. The intentionality with which we've had to approach our time in PGS and the way we've had to move through the dense fog of uncertainty are testaments to change being the only constant. Our experience at this school, in all of its iterations, from Pinchot to Bainbridge to Presidio to Redlands, speaks to the importance of intentional adaptation as we shed skins and reinvent ourselves again and again on the journey to becoming better leaders and better ancestors. Over the past 3 years, I was asked countless times, how in the world do you balance full-time work and grad school? The answer was always the people. Through the emotional weight that comes with dedicating ourselves to an uphill battle that is much larger than ourselves, we came together in a community of praxis, realizing that it's a magnificent thing to be alive in a moment that matters so much. We learned that the act of choosing joy and hope is courageous and necessary. We learned that collaboration is always better than competition, unless it's a dance battle on a Sunday night. We built financial pro formas, made theory of change models, and drew countless systems diagrams, and through it all, we sat with some of the hardest questions out there. What does it mean to lead from a place of tenacious love? How do we hold ourselves and others gently, but also hold ourselves and others accountable? How do we uproot broken systems and sow the seeds for generative ones? I'm graduating with more questions than answers, but my fear of the questions has been replaced with curiosity and eagerness, and perhaps that's the point. A guiding text that has anchored most, if not all, of our Presidio experiences is Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown, and I couldn't pass up one last opportunity to talk about it with you all. Two visuals from that book that have stuck with me are the dandelion and the flock of birds. Dandelions contain an entire community in each spore that gets blown away in one breath, each seed holding onto a tiny parachute that allows it to spread far and wide in the wind. Sitting here in this auditorium, I'd like to imagine a summer breeze spreading us far and wide onto wherever we go next. May we remember the invitation to be as prolific as dandelions and to move together like a flock of birds, a murmuration of starlings, tapping into deep trust to shift towards inch-wide, mile-deep movements. The work ahead is hard and uncertain, but the soil is primed. Marine biologist and climate activist Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson once said that there is always one ingredient in movements like this: scrappy people who are willing to work backwards from goals that seem impossibly ambitious at the start. Thank you for being those scrappy and wonderful people who have made me less afraid of the rising tide, teaching me that the rising tide lifts all ships. Like dandelions and birds, you all have been teachers, friends, and co-authors in the story that we are collectively writing. It's a story I'm humbled to be part of, and one I hope future generations will listen to with gratitude and relief. Thank you.